This collection of parts and pieces represents an imaginary situation in construction, or cabinetry, or boat building. You've got to create one piece of material that fits any kind of a bizarre shape, and you got one shot to do it. And none of these conventional carpentry tools are that much help, but a Spiel Stick, a Tick Stick, a Wiggle Stick is the tool you can use to make a piece of material, I don't care if it's steel or plywood or glass, that's going to fit this shape or any other shape in record time. So we're going to walk into the wood shop and I'm going to make a piece of material fit in there, probably the first time. But before I do that, I learned about Spiel Sticks, Tick Sticks, let's just call it a Tick Stick, from a man named Dean Mook at the Northwest Blacksmith Association Spring Conference, probably in 2008. Dean is an exceptional blacksmith. He does a lot of things, and he had worked in the boat building industry in Seattle and had run into this because it's been in boat building since we've been building boats. I came home and had to try it. And it worked out good because 2 years later, Cy Swan and I got a commission to put fireplace doors in a stone fireplace. And so I had to make a piece of steel conform, one piece, conform all the way around the opening, leaving a rectangular opening in the middle for the doors. And I said, wait a minute, Dean taught me how to use a Tick Stick. Worked perfectly. The only other time I've used it was on the spec house. We had that weird juncture between the garage and the main house and the breezeway. It was tricky. And there was one piece of roof sheeting, believe it or not, that I could only access from the bottom, which meant I couldn't scribe anything, which meant I had to make a Tick Stick, and it worked. Let me show you how a Tick Stick works this time. Now, the beauty of a Tick Stick is you can make something fit that is the size of a lunchbox. You could do this on something the size of a garage door. You have to be able to adjust the size of your Tick Stick, and you have to be able to make a big enough storyboard. That is, the substrate that you're going to mark on that becomes the template for projecting the shape onto the piece you're going to cut. So, as you begin to think about your storyboard and your Tick Stick, let me just drop this in here. This is big enough, it covers like what, 90% of the space? Let's just imagine that's going to work. You got to fasten it down so it does not move at all, ever. I'm going to do that with a wood screw on each end. Placement is not critical at this point. That's not moving. Now this is just cardboard. It has to be a little bit durable so you can pick it up and move it around when you come out. When you're ready to start transferring the marks, it needs to be thin. You don't want to put plywood in there because then it raises you up off of your point of contact, and that'll build in some variability. So a piece of white cardboard works good, fastened firmly in place. I mean, tape if you must. The Spiel Stick needs to have crisp edges and a funky shape. The funky shape becomes important because the marks are going to overlap each other and it can get confusing. So you have to be able to identify exactly where that thing goes. And I've made the mistake before of just having a 45-degree angle. Sometimes you need a long, drawn-out point to be able to get way back in someplace and get an accurate location, like this. All right, that's in place. We're fastened down. None of these are going to move. Let's start in. Spiel Stick. To the first point, I'm going to go from left to right, clockwise. I take a reasonably sharp pencil and I trace that carefully. Every bit that I can trace. And especially the end. Now before I move on, I number that. That's number 1. Next point, next intersection is right there. Same thing. Trace it carefully into the scallops, all of the straights, across the end, and down this long side. It's important. That's number 2. Next point is right there. Slide it right up against it. It doesn't matter if these marks begin to crowd each other. All right, so we're up to number 3. And you might be wondering, how do you determine what points? Well, these 1, 2, 3 points can be connected by straight lines. So with these points located on the actual fitting piece, it'll just be straight line work from point to point to point. Now, once I get to a radius, the point location becomes subjective and approximate, and you just kind of cross your fingers. Straight line, next straight line will be right there. We want to run it right out to where that would intersect. Like, I don't quite close my angle there, but I can eyeball that, and here's what we get. We get that, and that, and that, and that. Now, you don't want to make a mistake on this. You don't want this thing to shift while you're marking. There's the mark. That's number 4. It's important to mark them. So if you were paying attention, I started out with my scallops to the right, and then when I started coming around to mark the radius, I just rolled them over to the left. Does that make any difference? I don't know, but it's just sort of a visual cue in this spaghetti bowl that these are the marks that will bring us around that half round shape. So what I'm doing here is just a very funky shipbuilding iteration of a storyboard for setting grades for siding, lap siding around a house, or the story pole, storyboard that's made for establishing drawer heights and styles and rails and drawer depths in old school cabinet building. The idea of making a permanent measuring device out of a stick has been around a lot longer than tape measures have been around. Okay, I've got my storyboard, which is a template really, and my substrate is just foam core, just for ease of cutting it out, right? This could be 1/4-inch plate steel, this could be birch plywood, this could be glass if you knew how to handle it. The piece that has to fit the space that you're having to fill is fastened down, and your storyboard goes on top of it carefully, and it has to be fastened. I'm going to use tape. Is masking tape the best? It's good enough for cardboard on foam core, and so that's what I'm using. You try not to cover up too much of the marking, because you'll be surprised how little pencil marks make a big difference. But that's it. I mean, everything's secure. So here comes the magic. Here's my tick stick, and right here, right now, we begin to reestablish what it is we're trying to match. Here's number 1. I lay it on there so that the bizarre shape conforms to the marks as closely as I can. And that we're going to declare a fit. We're going to come out here and mark the very tip of the world. And since it's foam core, I'm going to go one step further and actually punch a hole right there. And then I put a corresponding mark. This is number 1. That's number 1. Number 2, what a mess. It's a mess until you lay the tick stick on there, and suddenly what you're shooting for snaps into focus. There's all the marks conforming to all the shapes, including the end, including the back, all of it. That means that is the second point. Number 2. Number 3. Who can even tell what number 3 is? Well, there it is going off the edge of the world. Oh, there's the rest of it. There's the back. We've got shadows in the shop. Here we go. There's the back. There's the end. There's the scallops, perfection itself. It's right at the very edge. It's number 3. So it looks like chickens run amok, right? But it's a magic transfer of information from this page to this page. So I'm going to pull this off and start marking before I cut. But let me just tell you this. There are bonus points involved if any of you use this process in the project or the challenge that you bring to the Essential Craftsman Build-Off, and I hope some of you do. It does, doesn't it? Really? So obviously, I'm cutting foam core with a utility knife, which is way different than cutting a piece of glass or cutting a piece of steel or cutting a piece of bird's eye maple. But the concept is the same. Now, if you were cutting a substrate like that, I would cut it out of plywood first, dry fit it with the plywood, and then make the marks on the plywood about +1/8 or -1/8 or +1/32. You know, I would probably create, on the heels of what I just used, a tri-piece. I mean, there's no harm in a tri-piece depending on how nice it's got to be. But as you know, in construction, there's plenty of times when, you know, a 1/16 is perfect and an 1/8 is acceptable. It just depends on the project. All right, here it is. Oh, I think the first one I did was better. Look at that, though. I mean, you know, if this was a tri-piece, you could add that 1/8. I'm an 1/8 short right there. The radius is okay. 1/8 short there. Let's see if I can sneak that out. Let me show you the one I did a few minutes ago, practicing before we even started the camera. Yeah, this one's actually a little better. Anyway, you get the idea. So repeating myself, in 50 years of construction, I've only needed this 3 times. Twice in blacksmithing, once in a roof stack. But if I would not have learned from Mr. Mook about a tick stick, if I wouldn't have gotten online and seen some of the other demonstrations that other people had done to sort of give me some idea how to show it to you, we wouldn't have gotten this far, because a square or a rule or a T-bevel square or dividers, I mean, if you want to get something like this done, my friends, you got to make a Spiel Stick. You got to pay attention. And by the time you've made 1 or 2 runs at this, you're going to have a fit that you will not mind putting in front of a camera. Sort of. Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.